Hello everyone, happy to see you all today for our first webinar. I'm Helen Glasgow and I'm here to tell you everything you need to know about getting promoted. Today, I'm reaching out to you guys directly for the very first time to let you in on all the secrets, tips and tricks of the trade I teach corporate teams. Basically, in even the best business schools, they teach you how to get a job offer, how to pass the interview. But when it comes to getting promoted, when you're in a company, nobody teaches you that. I've built my career the hard way, learning from my own painful mistakes, as well as watching my colleagues crash and burn while climbing the corporate ladder, falling and failing because of their inexperience, lack of resilience, and the sheer fatigue that happens when you don't work smart. 60% of newly promoted managers could not handle their new position for even a year and left the company. This wasn't because they were incompetent or lacked skills. They couldn't cope with stress. They didn't know how to deal with their colleagues, new team and watchful superiors once they'd gotten the promotion. They weren't ready for all the office politics and the numerous ways people will try to set you up once you've started up the corporate ladder. On the other hand, my team, my guys, were stronger, more confident, and didn't leave. So I was invited to do more trainings for other departments in my firm. One fine day, someone in human resources boasted at an HR conference on talent retention about my in-house trainings, and I started getting invited to teach at other large corporations. Because my training time is very limited, as I mentioned, I am an acting marketing executive and work full-time, I've decided only to work with corporations that invest serious money growing managers from entry-level positions up to the executive level. But these talented people aren't perfect. Who is? They often need to learn how to find balance in their lives, how to curb their frustrations and temper their ambition. What does all this mean for you? Think, what if you could benefit from the same level of training as a multinational corporation full of these go-getters? Or, and this is always a possibility, what if one of them comes to your company and competes with you for the same promotion? Just think of that for a moment. We'll try to prevent this from happening today. Today, you guys are the first team I'm teaching directly without a corporate go-between. I figured out if I work online, I can train you just like I've trained the creme de la creme of multinational corporations, using a minimum of my limited time and delivering a maximum boost to your career tracks. And if you're watching this in replay, it means you guys found it useful, and I've continued with the project. So, before this webinar went live, I asked you all to send me your why reasons that made you sign up to be here today. What I heard from all of you, loud and clear, is that you feel stuck somewhere on the corporate ladder. You're disillusioned with the job you currently hold, or you're grossly undervalued and underpaid. You don't know how to talk with your boss. Actually, you'd like to change bosses because he or she is a... Hold on now. This is a professional webinar, not a profane one, but I feel you. Or you're afraid of conflict. Or worse even, you're afraid of your boss. Some of you have made it to the management level, but you feel like you're losing your grip. Your colleagues don't respect you, your boss doesn't notice you, and your employees don't produce for you. Some of you guys are actually between jobs and want to ensure your next career move is a powerful one rather than just making do. Or, full circle, you're just plain stuck, tired of feeling like another cog in the wheel, day in and day out, treading water in that fetid swamp you call work. I also asked you to problem solve for a moment and send me your thoughts on how to get unstuck. Many of you have already thought of picking up a self-help book, or better yet, going online and finding some professional advice. That's what I thought when I found myself stuck on the corporate ladder. Sure, I was a good marketing specialist, but I was surrounded by great marketing specialists, and they were shaking the ladder hard. So I looked for books, online advice, and courses. Anything that would help me to stay on the ladder and eventually move up. For me, it was easy getting those first few positions, but I didn't have a clue how to sustain my progress and keep up the momentum of my career. So I kept Googling and found all the one-liners of career advice, usually having something to do with having a positive attitude, until someone noticed my sunny outlook and poof, presto changeo, I would be magically promoted. Sorry about the sarcasm, but it's this kind of magical thinking that drives me crazy. Not to mention that many of these one-page wonders were written by young entrepreneurial types, fresh out of grad school, with maybe 1 or 2 actual jobs under their belt. So yes, they had one professional conflict, and yes, they managed to conquer the problem and get promoted. Good for them. Not so good for me. And definitely not so good for you. Oh, and for God's sake, forget about the so-called elevator pitch. As an executive, I am telling you, it only happens in the movies. You can't imagine how many times I've been trapped in elevators by ambitious managers trying to sell themselves. All I wanted was to have my morning coffee in peace before the next battle. Look, there are some resources on the internet that might appear useful at first glance. When I looked, I found great courses on soft skills and management skills. If you need to improve negotiation skills, time management, interview skills, these courses are out there. So you could pay for each one of these skill-specific courses, spend endless hours researching them, then more time taking the actual courses. You can work like crazy, but you know what? I bet you already do all that stuff and more. And despite all your hard work, here you are, still searching for that one magic bullet that will boost your career to the next level. Don't get me wrong, these courses are great to improve your skills, but none of them tell you what you did wrong when you failed to get promoted. Let's get down to brass tacks and talk about who gets promoted and why. In my experience, when I run training and survey the class about who has gotten promoted, typically 10 to 15% respond that they got the job because they were good at it. Deal done. Case closed. So, what about the other 85 to 90%? They got the promotion for a host of other reasons. Reasons that you need to know about if you're ever going to even have a shot at getting promoted. So, the decision is yours. You can continue to wait for the perfect storm in an ideal world when you get that 1 in 8 to 10 promotion based solely on your merits, or you can stick with me to the end of this webinar to learn about all those other reasons people get the promotion. Here's the best way I can think of to show you I know what I'm talking about. By giving you the 25 most common mistakes we all make when we try to get promoted, and how you can learn from these mistakes so that you can progress up the career ladder without missing a step. If you watch this webinar until the end, you will walk away with the following knowledge. A new approach to professional growth versus what you've been doing wrong up till now. A fresh outlook you can take with you when you go to the office tomorrow, one that will allow you to see your workplace as an environment of potential. The knowledge that you will get the promotion, manage more employees, earn a higher salary, get bigger bonuses, receive the recognition you deserve for a job well done. And the final bonus, my personal guarantee. You simply will not find this information all in one place anywhere else. The only alternative is to hire a one-on-one career coach who has walked the talk and feels your pain, but who is not an acting manager. So the only thing left to do is to roll up our collective sleeves and get to work. I'm about to share the 25 top mistakes, or if you prefer, reasons, that prevent you from being promoted. For those of you who choose to walk the talk and stay to the bitter end of this webinar, there is a bonus that I promise will be valuable to your professional growth. In my entire business life, I've probably met 10 people, max, who instinctively knew all the right moves to get promoted, who were just born that way. Natural leaders are few and far between. Learn from them, but don't expect to be with them without extra work. That's what I've done. Learned from my professional elders and my bosses who were natural-born leaders, without pretending that I was in any way, shape or form part of that elite crowd. So, without further ado, here are the 25 top ways not to get promoted. Number 1. To get promoted, you take on too much work. Most people who want a promotion make the mistake of working like a dog to show that they can get that new job done. They do both a job that is already theirs plus the job they covered in order to impress management. Sadly, all that does is prove to management that this employee is willing to put in extra blood, sweat and tears into a job that isn't even theirs. Management thinks, I don't have to pay this person more or even give them a better title. They're doing 2 jobs for the price of 1. What eventually follows is resentment, bitterness, and burnout on the part of the belaboured employee. Ain't no growth going on here, people. Instead of the grim scenario I've just painted, it's crucial to devote both time and energy developing both personal and professional growth to get promoted. You need to learn how to get promoted. Nowadays, you can't afford to just be good at your job. Number 2. You market yourself as a person, not a product. I could write an entire course around this one mistake, but time marches on, so here's the gist. When you market your personality in order to get ahead professionally, you run the risk of making it personal. If there's one tough lesson I've learned in business, it's this: it's never personal. Don't get me wrong, you may have a sterling character and that's never going to hurt you in your professional endeavours. But having a great personality is a single asset of your marketability package. You can't sell your ability based solely on your personality. And putting your personality out there all alone to be judged by management is most likely going to end up hurting like hell. When you market yourself as a product, you immediately communicate as a business professional in the language that other successful business professionals are fluent in. Marketing yourself as a product takes the personal out of the equation and levels the playing field. Marketing yourself as a product shows management that you value your skill sets like a commodity for the business you're working in, a commodity that your business will be willing to pay handsomely for to acquire and keep happy for as long as they can. Here's a quick tip. People can be unpredictable, but solid products are functional, easy to understand, and desirable as long as they do what they're supposed to do. In business, be the product management needs. Number 3, you market yourself as the best and fail. Here's the sad truth of the matter. When you sell yourself as the best, you're often actually good for nothing. As much as that statement hurts, it may be the dose of reality you need. Many people believe, in order to be considered for a promotion, you need to be good at everything, from numbers to negotiations, marketing to public speaking, a one-man or woman corporate powerhouse, so to speak. This business persona you've created is an ideal. It is not sustainable, and if you continue to strive for that impossible, you'll end up failing miserably. Instead, you need to develop, nourish, and promote your strengths. Not only is this the very best thing you can do as a viable candidate for a promotion, but you will be remembered for your authenticity and earn a positive reputation throughout your industry. I've really researched this aspect of professional growth over the years, both personally and later as a trainer. Educating yourself about what you are truly good at can be accomplished many different ways, and I have included several different methods in my full online course. Number 4, you don't know who you are at work. This particular mistake relates both to the being good at everything point and especially to the marketing yourself instead of a product point. One of the reasons people start applying for every management job that comes down the pike is because the only thing they do know for sure is that they want a better job. What they don't know is who they want to be at work. I know this sounds sort of like a question you'd ask a 5-year-old, but it's such an important one if you're ever going to experience professional growth and boundless career success. At some point, and please make that point sooner than later, you have to make a conscious decision about your work identity. The easiest way to go about this is to focus on your innate gifts and learned skill strengths. Model your work persona on the elements of yourself that are strong, and you will be able to market an identity that is genuine, capable, and desirable to management. Then, you can transform that identity into a marketable product, thus creating two layers between who you are in your personal life and what you are projecting as a professional management candidate. That's what will ensure that it's nothing personal. I'm sorry if this approach seems a bit complicated. I know it's not an easy theory to grasp in a relatively short webinar. We'll work these strategies in detail in my full-time course. Number 5. You believe any promotion is a good promotion. I like to blame this particular mistake on recruiters, because recruiters make their money placing people in jobs. That's their goal, and meeting that goal is what makes them successful. But unless you too are a recruiter, landing any promotion for the sake of landing it is not your goal. To put it bluntly, people who jump at any sort of promotion, be it vertical, horizontal, a pay rise, temporary, more responsibility with the implication of future rewards, or jumping departments, get a bad reputation. And the reason for that bad reputation is simply this. It reeks of desperation. Promotions should be earned, mutually advantageous, and be the right fit for your career track as a whole. If you start skipping randomly from rung to rung on the corporate ladder, sooner or later you will inevitably slip and fall. When I say a promotion should be earned, I mean it should go to you because you are ready for it and you are the best person for the job. When I say a promotion should be mutually advantageous, I mean it should benefit both you and management. Where there's balance, there is growth and stability. And, most important, when I say a promotion should be the right fit for your career track as a whole, I mean it should make some sort of sense to you when you look at the trajectory of your personal career growth. It does not have to make sense to anyone else, but if a promotion fits into your vision and through line, it's the right promotion. Number 6. You don't have a big business marketing idea. Don't feel bad if you don't have a big business marketing idea yet. We're getting into the meat of professional career growth with this key concept, and this is where you need a professional to help you along. Chances are, however, that you've been dancing around this concept whether you know it or not. Your big business marketing idea is your career. Why? Why are you in the industry you're in? Why do you want to be known as a leader in your industry? To answer these questions, you need to have a big business marketing idea. To figure out what that big idea is, you need to ask more questions. What have you done to figure out your big idea? Do you know how to figure out your big idea? Again, this is something you need to have a concrete strategy on. Earlier, I said you need to market yourself as a product. Products have technical specifications, and every successful product needs a business plan. I work on this with my students in my online course. Number 7. You're not marketing your product to at least 5 targets: your colleagues, your team, your boss, your boss's colleagues, human resources. It's a well-known psychological phenomenon. If you want any growth plan, personal or professional, to take root and flourish, you need to tell others about what you intend to do. What this does is cement your intentions and add additional layers of accountability that will make you walk the talk. Market you, your product, to your colleagues so they'll talk about it to others. It's the best free press you can get. Market your product to your team to motivate and inspire them. Motivated and inspired teams make you look good. Market your product to your boss so he or she knows what you've been up to. You are part of your boss's team. Chances are they will want to motivate and inspire you, so you'll make them look good. Market your product to your boss's colleagues so they know who you are and who exactly is making your boss look so good. Finally, market your product to HR because they are the in-house recruiters of your corporation. Remember, their goal is to put the right people up for the right positions. It's a neat little cycle when you know how to participate in it appropriately. I know how it sounds now. You don't like and you suddenly don't want to be that annoying, boastful guy running after his boss who is focused entirely on him or herself. There are really elegant strategies of self-marketing that we learn in the course. The others will end up running after you and begging for more. Number 8. You don't understand how others view you in the workplace. In business, it is crucial that you have a realistic and honest view of your business identity in order to understand how the influencers and decision-makers in your organization view you. I'm not talking about who you are personally. I'm talking about your identity at work. Once you have a handle on who you are and your big why in the workplace, you need to look through the eyes of others to make sure your work image is reflected accurately. Again, aim at the 5 target audiences I talked about in the previous point. How do your colleagues view you? How does your team relate to you? What does your boss think of you? Do your boss's colleagues know who you are? How are your relations with HR? In your business life, you need to develop the ability to take the temperature off all the influencers and decision-makers in your workplace. You need to learn to actively listen, as well as to know when it's time to speak up and make yourself heard. Always remember, you are being observed by many, many people in your professional organization for many, many different reasons. Think of the reasons you notice others at work, then turn the lens back on yourself. It's also important to understand you can never rest on your success and stop wondering how everyone else views you. I can't count the number of newly minted executives I've known who've let their success go to their heads and become deaf, dumb and blind to the people around them who got them where they were, supported them and counted on them to keep growing and producing. Needless to say, it's never a pretty story, and no one lives happily ever after in this scenario. Number 9. You overestimate yourself. This mistake is closely related to the example I just gave you about the new executive, with one important difference. Sometimes people overestimate their abilities even before they've been promoted. You may be the most self-aware, put-together person in your personal life, but if you haven't worked out your business product identity and your big idea, you may very well be overshooting your ability to grow professionally. And sooner rather than later, you're going to get slapped in the face with the reality that you've overstepped yourself and others in the workplace. Ironically, in order to grow professionally as an individual, you need to work extremely well with others. You can't lead without an army who is on your side. When you enter the workplace, ego first, you lose the ability to sense the needs and desires of your 5 target audiences and will stall your progress out before you begin. There is a school of thought that in order to succeed in life, you need to keep a learner's mind. What that means is instead of walking into a situation as a self-professed expert, you enter with the intent to learn as much as you can, asking questions and giving feedback based on what you've learned. Being a lifelong learner keeps you current, viable, curious, and humble. When you stay current, you are viewed by others as a person who keeps up with the latest innovations and business trends, rather than staying stuck on your last success. When you are viable, you are viewed by others as someone who can get things done in a reasonable fashion, rather than someone who talks big but can't follow through. When you stay curious, others view you as a person who is open to fresh ideas, instead of someone who has already made their mind up and doesn't listen anymore. Being humble speaks for itself. If you are humble, you will never overestimate your abilities. Number 10. You get caught up in meaningless details and ignore warning signs. When you sweat the small stuff, it usually means that you are anxious. Ironically, your anxiety is probably rooted in a larger problem that you are ignoring. This fascinating, yet totally useless human behavior can end up torpedoing your career track. Here's an example. Joan is a dedicated copy editor at a major publishing house. She has worked in the publishing industry for over a decade and has a reputation for impeccable work. A woman with her experience and skill sets should have been promoted to managing or even executive editor years ago. But she hasn't been offered this opportunity, despite applying for every supervisory position that has come along at her workplace. The reason? She cannot let her work go. She's been known to literally lock herself in her office after hours, editing and re-editing copy until her boss demands that she hands it over. The lesson? Not only has Joan become obsessed with the tiniest imperfections in her work, but her colleagues, team, boss, her boss's colleagues, and human resources all view her as damaged goods. She's now actually received written warnings and is officially on probation for her perfectionism. Don't be like Joan. Number 11. You don't play well with others. Let's remember my last example. Poor, lost in the details Joan did not play well with others. She made the decision to try and resolve all of her work challenges by herself in a locked office after everyone who could have helped her had left for the day. There isn't one part of Joan's decision-making process that will work for anyone who wants to be promoted in any way, shape or form. In order to be in the running for a promotion, you must work well with others and demonstrate over and over again that you are a team player. You don't get to be the captain of the team until you earn the players' and the coaches' respect. It's as simple as that. The truism, no man or woman is an island, should be emblazoned on the front of every employee manual given out to neophyte workers embarking on their career path. It will serve them well to commit this phrase to memory, to recall throughout their career. Number 12. You wear your heart on your business suit sleeve. For the last 20 minutes, I've been giving you a fast and furious overview of all things you may be doing wrong while trying your hardest to get promoted. Over and over again, I've stressed how you need to develop a professional identity or product that packages you as a professional while protecting you from making your career personal. So here we are once again. The truth of the matter is that it hurts when we feel we haven't been heard. It stings when we don't feel appreciated for our hard work, and it feels like a personal attack when our ideas and creativity are dismissed in a meeting. But guess what? You've got to hide the hurt. You can't take any of it personally, and if you do, you need to keep it to yourself. I cannot stress this enough. The workplace is no place for tears or temper tantrums, and if you can't control your emotions, you need to find a new job. Today's multinational corporations are extremely competitive, and if your colleagues or superiors even sniff vulnerability or weakness on you, you'll be eaten alive. I'm not exaggerating. But what about that executive down the hall who trashes his office when things don't go his way? All I can say is watch and listen patiently. This person's days are limited. He is universally disliked and his own worst enemy. He may have made it to the top through intimidation or aggression, but he cannot maintain his position for any reasonable length of time. He is not a model or mentor. He is a menace to others and ultimately to himself. Number 13. Your personality type doesn't mesh well with your job. Wait a minute there. I've been preaching how important it is to keep your personal feelings out of the workplace. What's this advice about matching your personality type to your job business? Look, if all this professional growth info was straightforward, I'd be out of one of my many jobs. To paraphrase social media, it's complicated. So, it's been researched and proven that there is a finite amount of personality types in the human race. Sorry, all you guys who think each of you is as unique as a snowflake. The number of types varies, but for ease of understanding, I like to use the 5-factor personality model. Openness to experience, conscientiousness, agreeableness, extroversion, and neuroticism. I get into this much more in depth in my online course, but as an overview, you'll find you relate more to one of these 5 personality types than the others. Each of these types has characteristics that make you more or less likely to be a good match with different job types. So yes, ultimately, you need a business identity and to market yourself as a product, but that identity and product need to resonate with your personality type. Otherwise, you constantly feel like an imposter at work. Your professional confidence goes down, while your work anxiety goes up, and promotion opportunities go out the window. Number 14. You focus your professional growth on strengthening your weakness. Here's the mistake people in business make when it comes to focusing on their weaknesses. It's fine to focus as long as you're identifying your weaknesses so that you are aware they exist and could challenge you in your professional growth. Much like personality type, if you have a weakness that doesn't mesh with the career you've chosen, you are going to continue having a hard time being the best candidate for promotions in that field. Don't waste your time trying to strengthen your vulnerabilities. In business, time is money, and you can't afford to work on weaknesses. Instead, be aware of your Achilles heel, but focus on your strengths. Hone the skills you are innately gifted at, like an elite athlete, and you will be rewarded with renewed confidence, agility, and the knowledge that you are the best in your field. Think of this in terms of superheroes and their super strengths. Number 15. You don't have any support systems at work. No man or woman is an island. There's my favourite phrase again. If you're going to be promoted at work, you need to be a team player and work well with others. The best way to accomplish this is to seek out groups of people at work who appear to be following this formula. You can't be a team player without a team, and I'm not limiting that team to the one that reports to you. You need to join teams of colleagues as well as seek opportunities to work with your boss and your boss's colleagues. What all this team playing results in are what I like to call support systems. Support systems do just what they say. They systemically support you when you need help with your professional growth because you're working with other people who either look up to you as a boss or mentor, have the same goals in common with you, or are boss or superiors who can mentor you in a group setting. Here's an important caveat when seeking out support systems at work. Steer clear of the naysayers, cynics, bitter and burnt out, even if you secretly agree with some of their complaints. Remember, misery loves company, but the miserable company you choose to keep will be judged by those who report to you, your colleagues, and your superiors. Oftentimes, these people are seductive. They can be witty and seem cool to hang out with until you get lumped in with them and are branded as unpromotable. Number 16. You don't know who you can trust at work. How many careers have been sabotaged by confiding in an unscrupulous person? Having been the victim of this particular error more than once in my career, I can tell you that it hurts like hell and is really difficult to rebound from. I advise, after aligning yourself with a group or groups of people at work who share your work ethic and goals, hone in on one or two individuals who you might consider what I like to call co-pilots. Co-pilots are people who you can collaborate with. People you can trust because they confide in you as much as you confide in them, and who you have a proven track record with. In other words, these are people you have successfully teamed up with several times with mutually positive professional growth results. You can enlist co-pilots from your resume. In other words, keep the lifelines going with people from former jobs who you've had a positive rapport with in the past. These people widen your professional compass. They will tell you about opportunities outside of your workplace, and you can reciprocate with opportunities you think match their talents at yours. Number 17. You don't understand what type of boss you're working for. Did you know that the main reason why people change jobs is not low salary or being fired because of lack of skills? The number one reason is their relations with their boss. In today's competitive business world, it's not enough to develop your own work identity and market yourself as a desirable product. You also need to develop your powers of observation so that you can intuit what your boss's identity and/or product is. A few slides back, I mentioned one type of boss, the exception to the rule, an aggressive, intimidating type who literally tantrums when he doesn't get his way. Unfortunately, this is not a made-up character. These thugs and many other types of bosses exist, and if you want to coexist successfully with them, you need to be able to categorize them with skill. Bosses certainly aren't all bad. However, they are motivated by many different tangibles and intangibles. Knowing what motivates them and why this makes them act the way they do will be invaluable to anyone who has a boss and anyone who wants to be a boss. From bullies to mentors, there is an entire spectrum of bosses and leadership styles. I've had the pleasure and the pain of meeting them all, and I'll give you lots more insight through my online course. Number 18. You haven't focused on the essential soft skills. In order to stay competitive in today's global executive force, it's not enough to be the best at your job and a great leader. You need also to be fluent in the language of soft skills. All the positive personality traits that reflect upon your ability to facilitate productive relationships and foster endless diplomacy and goodwill, regardless of cultural differences, language challenges, and technical innovations that define normal channels of communication. Listen, I know I'm not telling you anything you don't already know. The question really is, which soft skills do I need to improve in? I've seen it happen over and over again. It's annual review time, and this guy who is truly gifted at the hard skills required in his job gets the following comment on his areas of improvement section. Needs to improve soft skills. So what does he do? He runs out and buys the first soft skills how-to book or online course he can get his hands on, follows through on all the tricks and tips of this so-called soft skills Bible, and before you know it, the year has passed. He gets his annual review, flips to the areas of improvement section, and it says, still needs to improve soft skills. Have no fear. This assessment nightmare need not happen to you. I've done all the research for you, knocked out all the stuff you don't need to focus on, and teach only the essential soft skills you need to have to finesse those rough edges and make you promotion ready in no time at all. Number 19. You take more than you give. Just like the need to match your personality type to your job, despite not letting business get personal, this mistake also seems to fly in the face of beating out the competition at any cost in order to reach the top of the corporate ladder. There's a great old saying, you have to give to get. That's the essence of paying it forward in the workplace. Of course, it's not as straightforward as that. You need to give in a premeditated, even calculated fashion. Whether you give to your team as a motivational tool, give to your colleagues and co-pilots as a mutually beneficial act, give to your boss as a token of loyalty, or give to your company as an altruistic employee for the greater good, giving can end up being the gift that keeps on giving. Back to you. In other words, if you help out a colleague, he knows that he owes you once and is much more likely to help you when you're in a bad spot. So, you keep mutually paying it forward, and lo and behold, you've developed a support system. Number 20. You don't act promotable. Have you ever heard the phrase, fake it till you make it? All it means is behaving like the manager you hope to be until you actually get promoted. Does this mean take on all the responsibilities of the job you'd like to be promoted to? Nope. Does this mean boss all your colleagues around to show the higher-ups that you are leadership material? I wouldn't if I were you. Does this mean going above your boss's head to upper management with your big marketing idea? Perish the thought. What it does mean is the following. Make it clear in lots of little ways that you are ready and willing for bigger challenges. Act in a manner befitting management. Don't hang out with the fun guys, laughing and joking all day and finding ways not to do your work. Take on a special project in order to position yourself in an altruistic, positive light that bridges all levels of the corporation. Participate in meetings, but don't hog the stage. Offer value and show appreciation for others' positive input. Build upon a good idea, showing that you are a team player and are able to share successes. You lack empathy, or you have too much empathy. Having empathy means you can put yourself in someone else's shoes and feel their power and their pain. It is an invaluable tool in business, and it will allow you to be a next-level executive. Next level means you approach your work as a professional and as a human being. Obviously, you will need to balance your empathic inclinations. If you are too empathic, you run the risk of feeling too much and muddying professional boundaries. Boundaries are an absolute necessity when it comes to your business identity and self-product. Without empathic balance and clear-cut boundaries, your leadership position will devolve into that of an amateur psychologist who takes their work home, laden down with others' emotional problems. On the other hand, having a lack of empathy will result in being completely shut off from your team, colleagues, boss, and superiors. Without empathy, there is no ability to suss out what anyone else's motivations, challenges, hopes, and dreams are. Remember, no man or woman is an island. People who lack empathy also appear insensitive, abrupt, cold, and even aggressive to their fellow employees. None of these qualities will support you in your quest for promotions that will have staying power. The most you can hope for, if you are without empathy, is to be hired as the hitman who comes into a company and fires people in order to create a new chain of command. It's not an enviable position, and you will end up lonely, and quite often alone at the top of a very slippery corporate slope. Number 22. You don't understand what your comfort zone really is. Personally, I have always found the term comfort zone to be an oxymoron. What's comfortable about being in the same old run that is so deep and ingrained, you feel exhausted even considering the possibility that you need to climb up and out of it? I imagine many of you who've tuned in today are right smack in your comfort zone. Do you feel comfortable about your career? Do you feel like you're in the zone? I'm thinking not so much. Let's call it what it is, your discomfort zone. Once you understand that getting out of your comfort zone really means getting out of the rut you've grown so dissatisfied with, you can begin to discover your new professional identity. How to market yourself as the product every corporation needs, and what your big business idea is. If that doesn't promise an authentic zone of balance, comfort, and satisfaction in your future, I don't know what would. Number 23. You lack a mentor. I don't care how strong and independent you are, how motivated by hardship and challenge you've been in the past, how innately gifted or formally educated you may be as an executive candidate. Everyone needs someone they can look up to and learn from and get honest but encouraging feedback from. Everyone needs a mentor. The problem is, finding that mentor can be a career in itself. If you look for an evolved corporation, you may be fortunate enough to be placed in an in-house mentor program. If your luck holds, the mentor you're matched with will only have the best intentions for your professional growth and future career success. If. The only problem is you don't get to choose, and even if you could choose, based on the last 22 mistakes I've just reviewed, you might not have the skills to choose wisely. That's a big problem. The potential pitfalls of finding a career mentor are numerous, and many of them are related to the mistakes people make over and over again when they try to get promoted. You don't understand that you need a professional identity, and so does the person you've chosen to mentor you. You don't understand why you want to be promoted, so even the greatest mentor in the world can't help you. You haven't marketed yourself as a product, so your mentor can't help you sell yourself. You are looking for support and a trusted person, but you don't understand the roles of professional boundaries. Worse still, neither does the chosen mentor. Let's face it, mentor-mentee relationships at work are, at the best, a delicate balance, dependent upon both parties being incredibly self-aware, professionally and personally balanced, matching in common goals and cultural norms, and selfless with their time and experience. That's a mighty tall order if you ask me. If you prefer to keep your mentor relationship precise, with clear, unbreachable boundaries, and within your control at all times, I suggest my online course, which will offer you a 24/7 virtual mentor relationship based on actual multinational corporate experience and successful executive trainings. Number 24. You don't have a self-marketing business plan. We've spent a lot of time reviewing dozens of mistakes that end up keeping you stuck in the job you currently have. We've come up with a lot of insights about how to avoid making these mistakes. But at the end of the day, in order to retain all this information, you need to integrate it into a centralized database that is customized to your career goal specifications. I call this a self-marketing business plan. As an example, when you develop my self-marketing business plan, what you end up with is a tangible, customized, and detailed action plan for your career track. This is an action plan that is formulated for the long haul, yet flexible enough to be modified to life's uncertainties. Like a tree, Challenged by the winds of change, it will enable you to be strong when you need to be strong, yet able to bend and compromise when the need arises. Number 25. You haven't taken the course, Explosive Career Growth, How to Get Promoted. Ah-ha-ha! In my humble opinion, this one is a no-brainer. But I can't blame you for this particular mistake. As I stated at the beginning of this webinar, this is the first time I'm offering, via an online course, the Executive Candidate Training. My online course isn't a handbook of tips and tricks, nor is it a one-size-fits-all how-to on promotion for dummies. It requires more than your presence. You'll have to participate and produce in order to reap the benefits I promised you. For those of you who are more of a hard sell, like myself, before we go any further, just look at these numbers. This is HR statistics for people who completed my full-time course. A full 70% of the managers I coached got the promotion after taking my full course. 10% of the managers didn't get an actual promotion, but they got a salary rise. Why am I telling you about the 20% who got nothing? Because you need to understand that there will always be a people who don't retain or improve after even the best trainings. Why does this happen? Does it mean that they are less talented than the 80%? Generally, these guys stay for the whole course. They were physically present, but they didn't do the exercises and activities. They didn't fully participate. Their boss made them show up. In other words, when it comes to being promoted, just showing up isn't half the battle. You need to fully commit to the course in order to get the most out of it. The actual theory of how to get promoted is not that complex, but, and this is a big but, it does take work on your part. I'm here to make sure you work smart. So, stay with me, be active, and don't be that 20%. Okay? I know you guys have been waiting patiently for me to answer some of those questions you've been sending during this webinar, but please allow me, if you will, to go on just a bit longer. I told you previously that I decided to offer this course to keep myself current and viable, and because I want to pay my own good fortune forward. But my ultimate why? I know it works. That's it. I know it works, and I want anyone who is ready and willing to invest their precious time and money to have the best information and advice out there and be able to find, all in one place, everything they need to know to kickstart their career. The name of this course is Explosive Career Growth, How to Get Promoted, the 2 Mindsets of Success. 2 Mindsets of Success? Here's my first bonus. Not only will you get the strategies to get your promotion, but also I've co-piloted this course with Joshua Moore, a professional career coach, who will balance my professional career building tactics by offering you additional personal growth training specifically developed to avoid career burnout, overcome workplace anxiety, and reduce the inevitable stress of climbing higher and higher up the corporate ladder without slipping, falling, or white-knuckle tactics. In effect, you get 2 coaches for the price of 1. A price that is a mere fraction of what the fat cat corporations have shelled out in the past for just little old me. Joshua and I really searched our collective souls when we put a price on this exclusive offer. We both agreed that it should equal what you'd pay for a good pair of business shoes. The choice is yours. If a person isn't ready to invest that much for this course, then I fear he isn't serious about getting promoted. I know how much this course is worth. I've bought some nice property in the south of France with some of what this course is worth. But at the end of the day, it's only going to be worth that much to you if you participate and do the activities and exercises. So please don't sign up if you're not serious. You might as well just get the shoes. Whether or not you wear them to a successful interview is entirely up to you. Oh, and don't worry if you aren't watching this live. As long as this webinar is available, I will honour the special price I've offered today. Please go to the following link to reserve your place, even if you need to think a bit more before purchasing this course. If you decide to purchase a bit later, your reservation will validate this exclusive offer. This offer is only available to people who've watched this webinar. Here is the link. You will also see it below this video. I have just enough time to answer some of the questions you sent to me before I began the webinar today. Whoa, you guys have been busy. There's a ton of questions here. I'm going to let my assistant pick a representation of them, and if the tech gods are watching, they'll show up on the screen now. Nick, I'm already an MBA grad. Will I get anything out of this course? Nick, you're in good company. Most of the people I've trained in the corporate setting were all MBAs, and yes, the course was valuable for them. In fact, I've gotten my most positive feedback from these folks. Nobody understands value for money more than people like you who've paid for your degrees and now need to walk the talk and put your knowledge to work. Richard here. So I'm between jobs. Should I take this course now or save my money until I've actually got a job? Richard, I know where you're at. Please wait if the money is going to be an issue. What you should do is reserve your place using the link to guarantee you today's offer. The last thing I want to do is rip you off and make you pay the full price after you're employed again. However, if you've got the extra cash, you could use your free time while you're interviewing and take the course now, so you'll have the information and self-business plan to help prepare and motivate you to get your dream job. Joshua's modules target some of the issues you're probably experiencing right now, and it's always good to know you're not alone. Julie, when does the course start and how long does it run for? Hi, Julie. You can start the course anytime you want. You'll get access to all the modules at once, so you can go at your own pace. Basically, it'll take as long or as little as you want to put into it. It'll go super fast if you don't do the activities and exercises, but in my opinion, the course is worthless without them. Just my opinion. Nellie, I've just been promoted. Should I still do the course? Congratulations, Nellie. The short answer is no. If you want this to be your last promotion. Sorry there, just a little growth humour. All kidding aside, Nellie, successful career tracks are a long and winding road. Unless you're sure you're not going to make any of the 25 mistakes I've been describing today, this course will see you through the long haul, and hopefully your next 10 promotions. Dave, I work for a small company. Is this the right course for me? Here's the deal, Dave. Size has nothing to do with it. Employees and bosses are the same in every company, whether the total staff is 10 or 10 million. Actually, I think the problems you'll face in a small company can be more intense than in a so-called faceless multinational corporation because turnover is much less and so are promotional opportunities. Carrie here. I'm considering leaving my current job. What's your advice? Listen to me, Carrie. Unless you're leaving your job for a better one you've already landed, think twice. In the meantime, I strongly advise you to take this course. You'll learn lots of new techniques and you can practice them at your current job. Then decide if you really need to leave to find greener pastures. Sometimes, once you've got the right moves under your belt, everything old is new again. Lucy, I feel like I'm too old to win at this game. Lucy, I'm so glad you tuned in today. Have you related to any of the mistakes I presented today? Then you've come to the right place. You just need to update your skills and learn a few new tricks. It's a new world out there, and age does not matter. Remember, Lucy, you've got experience on your side. You've been in the game, and I bet you could school us on a couple of rules. Well, our time is unfortunately at an end. Thank you so much for your time and attention. If you have any questions, I'll just leave my email here. And once again, the link to your bonus price.